My fight or flight instinct is still screaming at me to kill as Cassia walks in, my whole body tense with the need for movement, for preemptive action. This is the woman that actually caught me 2 years ago, after all. The most direct and immediate reason I got locked away in Site 4 and ended up as public enemy number 2. So there is an element of anger to my reaction, certainly. An instinctive desire for revenge. But more than that, I'm just terrified. She captured me effortlessly the first time, and I'm not sure it would be much more difficult for her to do it now. Of course, this doesn't mean I should rush up and try to kill her, it means I need to calm down and rein myself in. Before possessing Melik, anyone with a danger sense could tell I was nearby without much trouble, but the shell I'm hiding in suppresses most of that. I'm still me underneath it all, though, tightly wound and painfully restrained. I wouldn't be surprised if the wrong stimulus could cause my threat to come leaking out. Calm down. I need to calm down. I focus outward, finding that my need to calm myself is shared by another, the bartender, of all people. He stares at the High Templar with a mixture of stress and avarice that still sits well below the threshold of happy to see her. What are you so worried about? I ask him, trying to distract myself. Well, I'm fairly certain I am about to make a lot of money, he answers me quietly. I'm just not sure if it's going to be beer money or insurance money. Probably both, Cassia says, winking at us. But don't worry, little rich boy, I'm not here to bust whatever drug trade you no doubt have going. I'm just, wait, is that a fucking Vrithitso? Little rich boy? Oh fuck that, maybe I should kill her after all. Holy shit, is that what I look like right now? Wait, of course it is, Harvey even told me I look rich with this outfit. Arg, I hate that so much. There's no time to lament my horrid new status, though, because Cassia steps towards Lark with a dangerous tumult of emotions surging in her soul. I instinctively step closer as well. But Lark seems largely unfazed, standing up and facing the High Templar directly. Hello, High Templar, she greets, nodding politely. Wow, Cassia sighs, shaking her head. A talking Vrithitso that wears clothes. The smart ones can have pretty interesting feeding strategies, but wearing clothes and acting polite is a first. Why is she? Oh, I get it. Cassia has been away from Skyhope since I broke out of Site 4. She has no idea Lark is a Templar, and might not even know how the whole battle against me played out. She literally just got back. And should probably be debriefing right now, but has apparently decided to get drunk instead. A few other members of our squad awkwardly get up, not sure how to handle the confrontation, but Lark still seems unruffled. I'm not here to pursue a feeding strategy, she answers simply. I'm here to enjoy spending time with my Asku. No, actually. She spares a glance over towards Xavier. My friends. Is that so? Cassia asks, and the air hisses. It twists and curls like a furious snake, wrapping around Lark and lifting her bodily into the air. And do your friends here know how many people you had to eat to get that face of yours? 10, Lark answers, seeming more frustrated than intimidated as the magical bindings coil around her limbs. And I'm working every day to repay the Watcher for that sin. Now can we skip to the part where you either kill or release me? Cassia is an exceptionally tall woman, needing to lift Lark over a foot in the air before she can stare up at her. She seems young by High Templar standards, probably only half a decade older than I am. Depending on where you measure my age from, of course. Her attractive face, at least by Melik's standards, is marked with a handful of deep scars across her nose and cheek. But if anything they only seem to add to the roguish confidence Cassia carries herself with. The woman practically oozes danger, though even despite this she doesn't get a chance to answer Lark before my captain butts in. Okay, scratch all that, Yelisaveta snaps, crossing her arms and stepping past me to get up in Cassia's face. Lark, I order you to stop encouraging people to kill you. High Templar, stand the fuck down. This is not your jurisdiction and you'd know that if you were following protocol. Drop Templar Lark. Now. My lips quirk a bit. Jaleesa is fucking terrified, but she's not letting it show. Cassia tilts her head to the side, regarding her incredulously. Did I just hear you right? She scoffs. Templar Lark? You expect me to believe some fucking idiot made one of the monsters from Hivrock a Templar? Galdra the Annihilator did, Jaleesa answers flatly. Cassia opens her mouth, then closes it, shaking her head. Lark drops back down, landing on her feet and immediately turning to sit back down like nothing even happened. Honestly, that checks out, Cassia grumbles. That crazy bitch totally would. So she's really a good monster then? Or at least our monster? She's a good person, Jaleesa corrects. And a damn good Templar. And you just assaulted her. Cassia groans, rubbing her face with both hands. Watches psyche tits, okay. I'm sorry. Lark, right? I've barely been sleeping this whole past month from mission shit and I must have killed 100 Vrathitso on the way. Some of them have been scary smart, too. It's fine. I'm somewhat surprised to learn I'm not the only Vrathitso that isn't a mindless, raving monster, but I suppose I shouldn't be, Lark answers evenly, having already turned back to face the counter so she can nurse her mug of water. And I did tell everyone that me being out of uniform was a bad idea. Cassia grunts, nodding at Lark before turning to Jaleesa. Apologies to you as well, miss. Inquisitor Captain Yelisaveta, she grunts. I'd salute, but I'm currently off duty and I don't really feel like it. Cassia barks out a laugh. You and your squad have balls of iron, Cassia says approvingly. I've never seen someone stare me down like your little monster did. I'm tired of threats, Lark grumbles. People should either be decent or just try to kill me. Doing neither is pointless. I raise an eyebrow at that, as while I don't at all disagree it doesn't really sound like her. She was terrified the whole way here, after all. Worried about everyone judging her. Yet now that a confrontation actually happened, she's more disappointed and annoyed than anything. Well said, Cassia agrees, despite the fact that she's the one who just threatened someone. Bartender. Drinks for all these fine folks. I don't actually, Lark begins, but Xavier elbows her in the ribs. Challenge her to a drinking contest. She hisses in Lark's ear. What's a doctor? Do it. Trust me, it'll be great. I challenge you to a drinking contest? Lark says to Cassia. Oh, fuck yes. Cassia cheers, pumping her fist. You are getting destroyed, monster girl. Please don't call me that. What follows is one of the most hilariously one-sided games I've ever seen, and I take great pleasure in watching Lark utterly destroy the High Templar at it. The rules are simple: throw a ball at a target, miss, and you take a big drink of alcohol. If both players hit, they both take a smaller drink of alcohol. The point seems to be to balance one's throwing accuracy with one's ability to hold liquor, requiring both to achieve victory, which is, apparently, acquired only through concession or by someone literally passing out. Lark, of course, absolutely dominates in both of these categories, because just as Xavier predicted, she seems completely immune to alcohol. That and, after the first few throws, Lark has literally never missed the target. Cassia even starts unsubtly cheating with her talent and still ends up with a less accurate target record than Lark by virtue of her sheer drunkenness. Still, Cassia hits more often than she misses, so both of them tend to consume alcohol every round. I'm just sitting back and thoroughly enjoying all of it, since there's nothing quite like eating good food while watching a High Templar make a complete fucking fool of herself. Where the fuck are you keeping all that booze, girl? It shouldn't even fit in ya. It doesn't, Lark answers bluntly, leveling a patient glare at Cassia until she stops fucking up the air currents in the room and then throwing another perfect target toss. I have a spatially hyperbolic digestive system. For a lady who was just bragging about how many Vrathitso she killed, you sure don't seem to know much about how they work. Xavier taunts from the sidelines. She is very rapidly becoming my favorite. You look happier than I've seen you in a while, Harvey tells me. You can't tell me this isn't funny, I protest, offering him a bite of food because I truly am in that good of a mood. He accepts, proving his wisdom. Not without being a liar, he agrees. Xavier is a smart cookie. I can't think of a better set of opening rumors for our girl than playing a drinking game against a High Templar. I'm not actually sure she thought that far ahead, I admit, looking around. But you're right. This is drawing quite a crowd, and it pretty distinctly isn't drawing a mob. Harvey agrees, nodding thoughtfully. You're not sure who thought that far ahead? Xavier, I clarify. Of course, Harvey confirms. Did Xavier request to be referred to that way, or? Referred to what way? Oh shit, I called her she. It's probably not a deal breaker if I admit the fault. Lying is weird like that. No, I admit. I've been thinking about it, so it just slipped out. Hating your own body is an unenviable position. But at least, as a Templar, Xavier should be able to afford that kind of work if she wants it. Our salaries are frankly ridiculous. Harvey barks out a laugh. That they are. I'm not too proud to admit that's why I'm here rather than back at the army. They offer a pittance compared to the church. And the hunters offer even less than that, I grumble. Yet hunters are the ones taking the brunt of forest missions while Templars spend most of their time in the city. That's life, Harvey sighs. Though with our numbers recently gutted, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of those hunters start getting job offers over on our side of things. You mean like Gina? I ask. Harvey snorts. Hopefully not anyone like Gina, no. Now if you'll excuse me, I think someone needs to explain to the High Templar that she's up against someone that literally can't lose before she gets drunk enough to start causing property damage. An excellent idea, but one I might be better suited to, declares a voice that startles me hard enough to make me jump out of my chair and draw my sword. Breathing hard, my heart tearing open my chest, I carefully balance my plate of food in one hand as I slowly, purposefully stop pointing my blade at the suddenly present Braum the Ubiquitous. Or at least one of his clones. Holy fuck, he surprised me. I am not used to being surprised. Apologies for the sudden entrance, Braum says, nodding his head. I didn't mean to frighten you. But I picked up on your conversation when looking for my friend and didn't want to pretend I hadn't heard. It's fine, I breathe, sinking back into my seat. Why you startled me, is all. This is now the second time in as many hours I've seen you freak out over a High Templar, Harvey comments, amused. I'm just jumpy, okay? I grumble. I've never fought in a war before. Understandable, given what I've been briefed about the situation, Braum allows. Apologies for intervening while you're trying to unwind. But I couldn't help but overhear the words High Templar and property damage spoken in the same sentence, and decided it was well past time to pick up Cassia. Cassia. Braum heads towards his fellow High Templar, who immediately looks his way as he calls out her name and lights up with joy. Braum. Brauum. She slurs, drunkenly staggering over to and collapsing on his shoulders affectionately. This girl's really good at handling balls. Hey. Hey. Hi Braum. Hello, Cassia, he answers, patting her on the back. I cannot help but notice that you have yet to report to command, and are also extremely drunk. I'm losing a drinking game, she mutters. Against a friendly monster with a hollow fucking leg. It's a form of teleportation, actually, Lark corrects, but Cassia groans so loudly I doubt she hears it. She talks like my mom, Cassia complains. And she's got kitty ears. Did you see them? Yes, Cassia, I have indeed seen them, Braum assures her. Bartender, could I trouble you for some water? Yes sir, the man behind the counter agrees enthusiastically, seeming to enjoy this spectacle even more than I have been. Well, I suppose he was right, he's gotten a lot of beer money tonight. No, Braum, Cassia whines. Water tastes so watery. Like really cheap beer. Such as, for example, beer that has been watered down? Braum prompts unrepentantly. Yes. Yeah. Exactly that. See, you get me, Braum. Braum the Ubiquitous answers, accepting a large mug from the bartender and bringing it to Cassia's lips. Now drink your water. But then I'll lose the contest. Then you lose, Braum insists, a second clone popping into existence to help her hydrate while she protests. I hope you didn't bet away anything important this time. I don't believe we agreed on terms before the challenge commenced, Lark answers simply. Best I can tell, I've been competing in order to win the amusement of my squad, which I seem to have accomplished handily. She motions to us, flashing Braum a closed-lipped smile. Xavier laughs and claps a few times. You have indeed. She confirms. I'm afraid I'm no expert on the nuances of rithitzobiology, Braum hums, but considering your propensity to ignore other toxins, would I be correct in guessing you're incapable of getting drunk? That's correct, Lark nods. What? Cassia yelps, spitting out a mouthful of water. Fuck. Language, Lark chides. Braum actually chuckles at that, guiding the mug of water back up to Cassia's lips, where she proceeds to blow indignant bubbles in the drink. "I think we'll be going now," Braum announces. "Would it be acceptable for me to return the mug later today, when I return to pay off her tab?" "Of course, sir," the tavern owner allows, and Braum nods his thanks. "Captain Elisaveta, it was interesting getting to meet you and your squad," Braum continues. "Though I believe Command will take an unfortunate interest in your decisions today. Well, you can tell Command that if they have a problem with a Templar going out and acting like a watch-a-damn person during their mandated rest break, they can fucking fight me over it," Jaleesa answers firmly, apparently a little buzzed herself. "I'm not sacrificing my squad's mental well-being so they can pretend we don't even exist." There's a pause. "I will communicate your opinion on the matter," Braum answers diplomatically. "If, perhaps, not in those exact words. Have a lovely afternoon." He bows, jostling Cassia slightly and causing her to make a few disgruntled noises before they both finally depart. Silence descends on the room for a few dumbfounded moments before Xavier suddenly claps her hands again. "Well," she declares delightedly. "I didn't expect the High Templars to be like that, did you, Lark?" Braum was nice, Lark opines. "Like Galdra?" "Wait, you think Galdra is nice?" I ask. Lark shrugs. "She always cared for me before Captain Elisaveta took over, remember? She got me into the Templars and taught me a lot. I'm very grateful to her." "I guess," I allow, wrinkling my nose. "Nice or not, I can't stop thinking about how much Braum might be spying on us all the time," Harvey grunts. "I mean, probably enough to hear you say that," Xavier answers, wiggling her eyebrows. "You'd better watch out." "I'd better watch out indeed." Of course, Braum isn't the only one capable of long-range spying. His soul might not be in the clones he sent to pick up Cassia, but I can still feel his true body within the main church building, his soul a pleasant mix of exasperation, amusement, and a bit of affection towards his utterly wasted comrade. Cassia returns the sentiment, which I admit is kind of cute. I still don't like her, but it's cute. What isn't cute is how completely on the money Harvey's worry is. I can see our tavern reflected in part of Braum's glass-like soul, his attention undoubtedly on us. I assume that attention is due to Lark, and the natural caution any person would have upon seeing a Vrithitso surrounded by innocent people. But on the off chance it's because of me, I suspect I'll need to be a lot more careful. I practice sword and shield drills in the barracks yard, frustrated with how my body wars against two sets of competing instincts. Malik knows how this body is supposed to work, but his movements and instincts are struggling to hold their head above water as I fall back into my own habits, designed for a body stronger, tougher, smaller, and thinner than this one. I expect less weight, more force, more speed to everything I do. My perceptions haven't slowed down in the transfer between bodies, but my body itself has. I feel like I'm fighting in a mud pit, and the only way to break these bad habits before they start to matter is practice. So here I am, huffing and sweating away, trying to figure out if my new body actually smells way worse than my last one or if that's just my sense of smell no longer being crowded out as much by soul sensations. Arg, any way I move just feels wrong to some part of me. I'm getting too frustrated, it's time to switch gears. I sheathe my sword, taking a deep breath as I open the vial of my newly requisitioned metal dust, which Elisaveta quietly gave me orders not to eat. I flex my hidden tendrils, shaping the mana needed for my freshly completed faux talent spell. The metal dust flies up at my command, stolen instincts trying to move it with methods that no longer work, like an amputee trying to move a missing arm. I do my best to take that instinct and shift the spell to accommodate its intent, completing the metal sigil and forming a metamancy glyph on the ground in front of me. Nice. So it all works, I just need to get fast enough and practiced enough to use in combat. It's funny, since I don't actually have Malik's talent, this whole metal dust thing is somewhat pointless. I could create stronger metamancy glyphs more quickly by simply casting a spell to make a metamancy glyph rather than casting a spell to move the metal to form another spell that forms a metamancy glyph. It's a bit silly, sure, but it made sense when Malik was doing it, so I have to keep it up in order to continue pretending to be him. I carefully assemble a few other metal formations, wary since I know a misstep in the formation could literally blow up in my face. Malik's memories have all sorts of tricks to bypass the issue though, key areas of the spell that can be kept free of metal until the very end, letting me double-check the formation before activating it all at once. I set a few new, custom glyphs on my armor, taking a running jump to test them a couple times before finally stepping on the glyph I put in the ground and getting launched high up into the air. I enjoy being in the air. Jumping high into the trees was one of the first things I did when my soul started assisting my muscles on the inside, and since then I've made verticality a key part of my fighting style, especially in the forest. Leaving the ground, feeling that brief period of weightlessness before the fall. It's a special kind of joy that I only feel more clearly now that I'm in a fresh new body. Of course, there's one major downside to jumping really, really high as Melik. I'll absolutely, definitely die. Unless I make a spell to protect me, of course. Melik already made a spell that can hold people in the air in order to try and trap luck, and I've expanded on it a little so that it works as a cushion against all momentum. The spell basically just slows down whatever's in the range of the glyph once activated. Handy for surviving long falls, and probably lots of other stuff. Sure enough, I feel myself break rather than break as the ground rapidly approaches. I stumble into an awkward but otherwise safe landing, letting myself grin from ear to ear at the triumph. Dang, magic is kind of really cool. Getting some good training in? Lark asks, approaching me with a friendly nod. Yeah, I confirm. I still feel stiff and sluggish, but I'm at least getting to test new spell ideas. I think mobility is a big weakness for me right now, so I'm trying to come up with glyphs that will help me out with that. You do know that jumping 30 feet in the air is just going to make you an easier target, right? Lark asks me. Well, yeah. That one's just for fun, I admit. That gets a smile out of her, making Melik's heart flutter a bit. Ugh, gross. Lark is wearing her usual casual gear, one of her self-woven shirts and Templar leg armor, minus the boots. It leaves all her inhuman features free to move around while still being enough of a uniform to remind people that she belongs here. The part of me I'm trying firmly to ignore also thinks the ensemble looks quite good on her, particularly the snug t-shirt. Come on, body, I used to have tits. I promise they're not that exciting. Well, I also came out here to stretch a bit, so do you want to spar at all? Lark asks. Let's see. I do kind of want a rematch. Even Melik wants to kick her ass in a fight, and while I doubt I can actually win as is, it should be good practice. Sure, I agree. Sword and board, or do you want to fight me like that? Lark considers. Yeah, let me go grab my armor. I'm not looking for a real fight so much as something to take my mind off things for a while. I shrug and return to drilling as she runs off, quickly dons her gear, and returns. Then we trade out our blades for blunted ones and face off. I take a defensive stance, hunkering behind my shield as I encourage her to take the first move. I know my body can't keep up with her in any area, and while Melik would try to even those odds with clever spell work, I'm not yet used to the foe talent enough to be confident I can weave a metamancy glyph together mid-combat. I'll have to bait her into a bad position another way. She strikes towards my left, but I ignore it because it's a feint, trying to get a quick cut in while she adjusts. I startle her, but not enough to prevent her from dodging, so I settle back into a defensive stance rather than push my advantage. I'll lose a prolonged exchange of blows every time, so what I need to do is focus on counters. It's frustrating, oh so frustrating. Melik's eyes couldn't keep up with her back when the two of them sparred, but I have more than physical eyes to work with. I can read her intent directly, move my body to defend the moment she starts any given movement. The more she thinks about what she's doing, the better I can defend against it, counter it, and win small victories. But even with the training I've inherited from Melik, I'm simply not a skilled enough swordsman to make the movements necessary to catch her. I'm just a bit too slow, a bit too imprecise, a bit too inexperienced to react well enough to land a hit. I know what I should be doing, but I can't pull it off. My body simply can't keep up with my mind. Still, I keep her stalemated for quite some time before exhaustion starts to hit me, my ragged breaths and burning muscles slowing my already sluggish form enough that the duel falls further and further out of my favor until Lark finally disarms me, pointing her sword to my throat. Fuck, I hiss feelingly, dropping to my knees as I suck in ragged breaths. Shit, you kicked my ass. Are you kidding me? Lark answers disbelievingly. That was incredible. I felt like I was fighting our instructor for most of that. You were one step ahead the whole time. Too bad you can take 3 steps every time I lift a foot, I counter bitterly. Uck, I expected to lose, but it still stings like a bitch. I'm definitely used to having the raw power and toughness to just not give a shit about fights, and not having it now is a pungent stain on my pride. Hey. Pride. Since when have I been well off enough to afford pride? I shake my head to clear the thoughts, reaching an arm up to accept Lark's offer to help me stand the moment she supplies it. Good spar, I tell her honestly. Definitely, she agrees. You doing okay? You don't normally collapse after we fight. Well, I don't normally fight that hard, I counter. True, she concedes. But that's weird in its own way. You seem a bit different ever since the battle. I successfully hold back a wince, cocking my head in mock confusion instead. Good different or bad different? I probe. I don't know if it's either good or bad, Lark answers, shrugging. You're not as broody as you used to be, if nothing else. Ha. Melek got possessed by an undead necromancer and became less broody. That totally figures. I'll choose to interpret that as a good thing, then? I hedge, shrugging. I don't know what to tell you. Fighting a massive battle and nearly dying just put a bunch of things in perspective, I guess. Lark hums, a distracting tumult of strangely sharp emotions passing over her soul before she returns her attention to me. I can't figure out what that means, but it certainly happens to her a lot. I suppose you're right about that, she says quietly. That was not a pleasant experience. Both being prevented from fighting until Vita got to us and actually fighting her were distinctly unpleasant. It's hard to imagine things going worse than they did. We could be dead, I supply. True, she agrees softly. It would be bad if you all were dead. I can't help it. I reach up and put my hand on Lark's head, ruffling her hair between her ears. She goes still, her temptation and terror warring with the subtle warmth of finally getting some desperately needed human contact. This, more than anything, I can empathize with. Our source of fear and mistrust is different. I don't trust others, while she doesn't trust herself, but we're both fundamentally people that close ourselves off from contact with anyone and end up starved for it without ever knowing. Being able to hug Lynn and, eventually, Penelope was one of those things I never knew how desperately I needed, but acquiring a circle of people I could make contact with and feel safe about it is a key part of what changed my life for the better. And while I doubt Lark would want me to ever get near her again, I can feel that she trusts Melek. My touch is awkward, since I know little about comforting people and less about petting cats, but she doesn't seem to want it to stop. I think the whole squad agrees it would be bad if you died, too, I tell her. Don't think we don't notice your word choice when you say things like that. Of all times for humans to start paying careful attention to their own language, she grumbles softly. I snort with amusement. Well, if you repeat something often enough, they do get it eventually. She looks up at me suddenly, oddly confused. I blink with surprise. It was a joke, I clarify. You're always complaining about people repeating themselves? Right, yeah, she agrees, vigorously shaking her head as I take my hand away. Sorry, just had a weird thought. No worries, I shrug. Thanks for the spar. I think I'm a bit too tuckered out for another, though. Yeah, of course, she agrees, and I retrieve my sword before heading out. I've got somewhere important to be, after all. The question is, do I go in uniform or not? Being in uniform has the advantage of turning me into a faceless Templar, which lets me blend into a crowd better in some ways but worse in others. Ultimately, I decide that I'd rather not be bothered by people needing a Templar and asking for help, since even though I'm off duty, if I wear the armor I'm expected to help. Besides, if anyone is tracking Melek specifically, they're probably already doing it. Actually, quick check, Bram's soul looks like it's reflecting a totally different part of the city. Perfect. I remove my armor, store it in my room, and leave the barracks, heading somewhere bittersweet and familiar. I take a roundabout route to my old Hunter Guild house, scraping the edge of the city where, all those years ago, my family lived in the alleyways in a wooden shack. Nowadays, almost everything here is wood, most of the stone structures having collapsed from the perception event and forcibly dug away. The wooden structures that now line the streets are far nicer than my rotting old shack, of course, a testament to my girlfriend's work at improving cheap building materials so the poor might be able to afford workable homes. Damn, I hope Penelope's okay. But that's why I'm out here. If I'm lucky, I'll know soon enough. I walk into the Hunters Guild and am immediately hit with a pulse of nostalgia. The building didn't suffer the fate of many others and was spared from major damage, so even after 2 years it feels like coming back to a second home. I can smell the stew from here. Unfortunately, I can't partake. I'm no longer a hunter, after all. I'm just here to meet one, since I heard he gets back from his mission today. And sure enough, while his soul is far stronger than I remember it, he's here. Orville. It's doubly a shame that I can't have any of the stew, since he seems to be sitting in the mess hall with what I assume is his team. I recognize 2 of them before I even enter the room. Song is here, which might make things awkward since they knew Melik for quite some time back in Latia village. Fulvia is also on Orville's team, which I have to say is a remarkable coincidence. But the 4th and final member of the group is, to my surprise, also known to me. Or, more accurately, she's known to Melik's memories, but now I get to put a soul to the face for the first time. Gina? I ask, raising an eyebrow as I walk over to them. Melik. My former fellow trainee says, looking pleasantly surprised as I walk over. Hey. I heard you're a big fancy Templar now, eh? So they tell me, I answer agreeably. Weren't you in jail? She was, Orville speaks up. But I bought her out. Ugh, yeah, I'm technically a slave now, I guess, Gina groans. Not like Orville wasn't already a slave driver of a team leader. Oh yeah? I say. Dang Orville, I'm not sure if you can be a slave buddy if you're a slave owner. I give Song a hug, since they stood up to do just that. The poisoner gives me a proud punch on the shoulder which I respond to with a grin. All the while, Orville is frozen solid by my words. Slave buddies is what I called Orville back when he was legally owned by the woman who raised him and I was legally owned by Penelope. It's the sort of inside joke absolutely no one both living and outside our squad could have known, which is why it makes a nice code phrase to announce that something me-related is going on. After all, Orville still meets with Neto in secret, since despite being my revenant and his former owner, their relationship is far more family than property. As such, he has a massive incentive to not rat me out, what with already being my accomplice. This makes him the ideal person to send a message to my little forest town, since I can use him to send the message via Neto. I figure if Penelope is on the run, the village is the first place she'd go. Well, okay, the first place she'd go would be her secret hideout, but I don't have any way of reaching her secret hideout other than the teleportation circle at my village anyway. It hits both of those possibilities at once. And if she's at neither place, and no one at my village knows where she went, well, I have to assume that means she's in trouble, or dead. Hopefully it won't come to that, because I have no idea where to search next. Isn't he on the squad with, Fulvia whispers into Gina's ear, though not quietly enough to prevent anyone from hearing. Yeah, but he's cool, Gina reassures the other woman, patting her hand. Melik here's the one that got his ass kicked with me. I'm less surprised that Fulvia is out of prison, considering that all she did was beat the shit out of someone who never even bribed a guard, and the normal punishment for that doesn't usually last more than a 10-day. Gina, meanwhile, disobeyed Templar command and gave away confidential secrets, which is, well, I have no idea how harsh a punishment that gets you since I've never met anyone else guilty of such a thing, but I imagine it's hefty. Not that Jaleesa seems to give a shit. I made such a good decision when I spared her life. So, Orville says flatly, cutting past the handful of other conversations his team was about to start with me. What brings you here? Well, you were on a hunter team with Bentley, right? I ask, even though I know the answer. Hee. Subterfuge. This must be how Penelope feels all the time. Yes, Orville confirms, nodding suspiciously. Well, he's currently stuck in bed after some nasty injuries, I explain. They think he'll make a full recovery, something about his talent helping out. But I figure he's probably bored, and would love to see an old friend. I was hoping to catch you when you got back and surprise him. Orville is surprised and wary, but he only lets the former show on his face. I see, he says. I'd love to go see him. Do the rest of you mind if I head out? Not at all, Song grunts. It was good to see you again, Melik. Likewise, I tell them. Then I stare firmly at Gina until I've successfully quashed her urge to invite herself. Which is fortunate, because while I know she wants to see Bentley and that Bentley would be happy to see her, it would ruin my plans to get Orville alone if she tags along. The pair of us depart. I walk down the street silent at first as I carefully check the souls in my range to ensure none of them are paying any attention to us. Even Brahm's soul reflects somewhere completely different. Perfect. So, Orville starts awkwardly. So, I answer, weaving a silent spell around us. Vita would like you to send a message to your mum. How did she get to you? Orville asks bluntly. Best I can tell, you're still alive. Are you sure you want to know? I ask him. He regards me silently for a moment, then sighs. No, he admits. Not really. Orville. He was always the member of the team with the most common sense. Tell Netta to head to the village and get news, particularly on Penelope's whereabouts, I instruct him. She'll know which village. Then have her tell you the news, then you tell me. The sooner, the better. That's it? He asks. That's it, I answer firmly. You're a friend, Orville. Vito isn't going to extort you. That's unexpectedly pleasant news, I suppose, he responds sardonically. But it's a simple enough request. I'll do it. Thank you, I reply, and the rest of the day is devoid of further plots and schemes. Orville and Bentley hang out, chatting and laughing and generally making Bentley's day, which I'm glad for. It's the least I can do for him after spilling his intestines all over the forest floor. Bentley's recovery seems to be going far faster than any of the biomancers expected, his body taking to healing like a bird to the skies. His stamina talent apparently means he can accept a lot more regenerative biomancy in his body than the average person, continuing to benefit far after the point where a normal person would start cannibalizing themselves until they had a few meals to digest. In another couple days, both of his legs will likely have finished regrowing, which is both good and bad. Good because it of course means Bentley will be back on his feet, but bad because there's no doubt our break will end soon afterwards. Once our squad is back to fighting fit, we're going to be fighting. The only question is what? The answer comes sooner than I would have liked. Before Bentley even finishes regrowing his toes, we're called to an emergency meeting by our captain. New Talsi has fallen, Jaleesa announces, looking us dead in the eyes. Alongside a number of smaller towns and villages around it. Reports say they've been razed to the last man. What? Xavier yelps, earning her an immediate glare from Jaleesa. This is the time for professionalism. What caused it? I prompt instead, though I can't think of many things that would perform that kind of indiscriminate slaughter. Jaleesa glances to Lark, confirming my suspicions. Shit. I suppose it was only a matter of time before one got big and bold enough to raise a city. We believe. It was Vrathitso. Yep. How nostalgic. Me and my squad, all dispatching to fight a soul-eating monster. Though if it annihilated an entire countryside, well, something tells me this one is going to be a bit bigger than the last one. Another one of those hard-to-control smiles parts my lips. I look forward to it.